Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Bet Right Sports Betting Podcast. It's your host, Jeff Rowell, here with my co-host, Andrew Tanzi, coming at you for Week 8 in the NFL season on YouTube, on Spotify, on Apple, wherever you find your podcast. Hit the subscribe button, give us a 5-star review, let us know how much you like our work. We are going to dive into Week 8 here, give out our favorite bets on sides, totals, props, give out a favorite bet of the week, a long shot, chalk donkey parlay. Right now, let's go to our Week 7 recap. Rue, how did Week 7 treat you?
And it was a weird week. There was a point in the early games where I thought I was going to be down like 7 units, and somehow within like an hour, everything just turned around, did real well in the late games and stuff. It ended up having a pretty nice week. So it was just one of those roller coaster Sundays, which is why we love betting the NFL.
Yeah, I had a similar story. I was definitely down, looking like it was going to be down. I was in the red for the first hour or two at the slate, and then everything kind of broke in the second half of the 1:00 games and worked in my favor. Debate of the week last week, we did not have one, so I will stay at 3-2. You will stay at 2-3. We do have a debate of the week this week, so stay tuned for that. Favorite bets of the week, Rue, Packers and Patriots teaser, -1.5 for the Packers, -1 for the Patriots. That was one of the easiest teasers you'll ever win. How'd you feel about that?
Yeah, not really. I don't want to say it wasn't a sweat, because I mean, if you look into the box score of that Packers,
yeah, a little bit, but the Patriots was never in doubt.
They could have easily lost that game, but yeah, Patriots obviously never in doubt. So nice, easy win there.
So you were at 4-2-1 on the year of your favorite bets. I am up to 5-2 now. Patrick Mahomes over 16.5 rush yards came through. I think he had 20 in the first half, finished with like 30 before he left the game. So that was a easy winner, like my handicap there. Our guest of the week, Dave, had Cordero Patterson over receiving yards. So unfortunately, he's never coming back on the podcast. That one missed. 0-1 for Dave. Long shots of the week, Rue, you had an awesome call with the Stafford 3 touchdown passes. You really talked me into that one. We got that at +110. I was all over that. Fortunately, you paired it with the Eagles money line.
Yeah, there's just no comment. Easily my worst call of the week. Just terrible read by me. There's nothing else to say. Sometimes you're just dead wrong on a team, dead wrong on a game, and just I was way off on the Eagles there. So and you, somehow they still had the ball at in the last 2 minutes with a chance to cover, but they ended up not doing it.
Yeah, that was a bet that I liked the more and more the week went on. And then Waller goes out the day of the game. Yep. So I'm like, all right, here we go, Eagles. And they're up 7-0. And then it just didn't happen. So you go to 2-4 in your long shots. I go to 3-3. I had Damian Harris over 64.5 rush yards, a touchdown, and the Patriots money line. So that came home all over Damian Harris last week. And then Dave redeems himself in the guest of the week category with a Bengals money line call at +240. What a call by Dave. Dang, taking down the Ravens, potentially their biggest win of the regular season in years.
I feel like every time I get like high on the Ravens, because they were my preseason Super Bowl pick, it's like there's been ups and downs this whole year. I feel like every time I get up on them, they just kick me back down. Like, I don't know what to make of this team right now.
I can't figure them out either. I've been wrong on them several times this year. I had so much money on the Chiefs against them in that Monday night game, and they just, I don't know. And then I bet them week 1 against the Raiders, and they lost. I don't know. Chalk donkey parlay. My goodness. What is happening here? 4-0 on the year. Packers, Patriots, Rams, Bucks. I don't know what else to say about this chalk donkey parlay. We might as well just bet that and stop the show. Like, it hasn't missed.
Yeah. So we were talking about it earlier. We're due for a loss there because there hasn't been one favorite that's been a 7 or more point favorite that's lost all season. So that I don't have the
crazy
stats. I don't have the data to say when the last time or if that's ever happened before, but I highly doubt this can keep up for much longer. Someone's due for a big upset, but you know what? We're still going to keep playing the chalk donkey parlay because we can lose a few and we'll still be up on the year. So,
oh, for sure. We're getting them at plus money every week too. It's not like they're -150 or something. So 4-0 in the chalk donkey parlay. The prop sheet 9-1 on the week, 35-19 overall. Our only miss was we had all 3 of the Falcons pass catchers overs. We had Pitts, Ridley, and Patterson. I just graded that as an 0-1. We could have went 1-2, whatever. Looking back on it, we probably just should have taken Matt Ryan over passing yards, but whatever. Holy cow, 9-1. None of them were even that close to a sweat. I actually put in a nice 7-leg parlay about an hour before kickoff. I was just looking through our prop sheet, and I didn't even take the best line. Some of the numbers had moved a little bit, but I just liked our looks a lot. Ended up winning $2,700 on a $35 bet. So
yeah, I thought it was funny that when you sent me that, and you were the one who was high on Ridley and I was high on Pitts. So I was like, oh, I wonder why you went with Pitts over Ridley. And you told me you were going to put Ridley in, but his prop was taken down. So it's funny how that worked out.
Oh, it worked out great. Because I got Ridley at 68.5, and I think they opened him back up at like 77. So, and then they took it down for some reason or whatever. So I ended up taking Pitts, luckily, because that would have been the one spot that I lost.
How many legs was it?
7 legs.
All right. I think I deserve 1/7 of those winnings then.
Yeah. Check your bet now. I'll send that right over to you. So another awesome week here. Very profitable season. We will keep the profit train rolling. Let's go to our heroes and zeros of week number 7. Rue, let's kick it off with your hero of the week.
All right. My hero of the week is Jonathan Taylor. Sunday night, we were both all over his rush yards over with a rainy, windy game. And so he crushed that. He had 106 rushing yards, and I was also on the Colts plus 4.5. So he obviously played a big role in that. So Jonathan Taylor capping off my Sunday with a couple W's is my hero of the week.
All right, for me, I'm going to bring it back to last Thursday night. D'Ernest Johnson. By now, I think we've all heard his incredible story and his journey to the NFL. He ran like a man on a mission Thursday night against the Broncos. His decision to go down at the 3-yard line instead of scoring not once, but twice in a row because of a false start penalty or a holding penalty allowed us somehow to cash Broncos plus 6, Broncos plus 3.5, and Browns money line and the under 43.5 all in one game. That just set the tone for what proved to be another incredible week. Thank you, D'Ernest Johnson. Ran all over the Broncos and cashed us all of the tickets on Thursday Night Football. Zero of the week. I'll go first here. For me, it's got to be my guy coming into the season, Tua Tagovailoa.
Finally.
And by association, me for believing in him. For anyone that listened to our season preview, they will know I was kind of buying into the Tua hype, hopping aboard the Tua train. To be fair, I did say there was upside. I did not declare he was going to be this incredible quarterback. I think we have all seen that I was wrong. Tua is not it. Brian Flores is not it. This Dolphins team is not it. 1-6 on the year. Lost to the Colts, the Jaguars, the Falcons, and some of these interceptions that he throws just absolutely backbreaking. I did have the Dolphins in a teaser last week. Luckily, they covered that, but just I don't know what to say anymore. I'm done with Tua. I'm done with the Dolphins. We can put their season to bed. They can look at Deshaun Watson if they want to, or just start looking ahead to next year. Oh, and by the way, the Eagles get their draft pick. So thank you, Dolphins.
Cash my win total under bet.
Yeah, you can pretty much collect your winnings now.
Yeah.
All right. Who is your zero of the week?
My zero of the week, Marlon Humphrey, the supposed one of the top 5 to 10 cornerbacks in the league. I was holding a game under ticket 47.5 through the first quarter and a half. Probably there wasn't a doubt in my mind this was cashing. And then all of a sudden it's like, all right, big touchdown, Jamar Chase. No big deal. Big play, Jamar Chase. Okay, now I'm getting worried. Another big play, another big play. So Marlon Humphrey, who shadowed Jamar Chase the entire game. Jamar Chase had 10 targets, 8 receptions, 201 yards, and 1 touchdown. The Bengals almost hit the over by themselves after a slow start. So Marlon Humphrey, I could pretty much give it to the whole Ravens team, but we're singling out Marlon Humphrey, my zero of the week.
Yeah, is Jamar Chase just like the best receiver in the NFL at this point? Like, this guy's incredible. Every single week, it's just a long bomb, a touchdown. He's beating any corner he plays. It's crazy.
Yeah, I'm huge on the regression and stuff, but I'm waiting for it to come. I'm like, this guy can't have a long 40, 50 plus yard touchdown every single week. But
yeah, I stopped betting his longest reception over because I'm like, it can't happen every week, can it? Like, I got to jump off and it just keeps happening. So I don't know. All right, that'll do it for our week 7 recap. Before we jump into week 8, Brew, I ask you this question every week. I never know what response I'm going to get. We did talk about this earlier in the day. Do you have a Tansies tip of the week for us?
Yeah, we got to rename it because it's both of us. I don't want this singled out on me, but we're going to talk about some.
I mean, your name just works well. Like the Jeff's fair. Jumbled jargon opinion of the week doesn't sound this good.
All right, we are going to talk about odds boosts. I'll let you kick this one off because I know you wanted to talk about this topic.
All right, so odds boost. We basically just wanted to talk a little bit about when we think it's a good idea to bet them. They can be valuable, they can be profitable, but they can also be a big trap. I kind of fell into this when I first started betting. I would take every odds boost available. If I just saw, the odds are plus 200 and they're giving me plus 240, it's free money. Why wouldn't I take it? The value's there. And I think you really just have to dig into them a little bit more. I would say first tip is just analyze and make sure the lines are correct. I've seen a ton of times where you'll find an odds boost on one site and it'll say like James Conner first touchdown boosted to plus 600, and you go over to another site and James Conner's price is plus 800 to score the first touchdown. Like, it's not even a boost. So just make sure you're double checking that the lines are actually boosted, and don't just blind bet them because the odds are better. If you don't actually think that it's a valuable bet, if you don't have a reason on why you think the prop is going to cash or why the boost is going to cash, don't bet it just because the odds are better, because the line might not be good. Like, sometimes there's a reason these sportsbook are setting these odds boosts. It's probably because they have a ton of action on one side of the game and they want to try and get people to bet the other side. Maybe the other side is just a losing side. That's why everyone's betting the other side. That's why the sportsbooks are trying to get you to boost the odds on it so they can just get action on it. So it doesn't make it a good bet just because the odds are boosted. Did I miss anything?
No, that's my biggest thing, is don't just blindly play these. Like, I see people posting on Twitter and stuff to take these odds because it's, just strictly based on the value. But if you don't have a good handicap on why the bet will hit, and you have to realize a lot of these odds boosts, they're there for a reason. Like you said, the books are putting these out there for a reason. A lot of times it's playing on a certain narrative. Like, if, and there's NBA games every night. If Damian Lillard scores 40 points or something tonight, chances are the next Blazers game, there's going to be some boost for Damian Lillard scoring X amount of points because he just had a huge game, and that's in the front of everyone's mind. So just make sure you're not just blindly playing these based on the value of the odds, if there is even value.
Yeah, I think we said it all there. Odds boosts can be profitable. Not saying there's bad. There's definitely good ones out there every week. You just got to find which ones are good. And always, feel free to hit us up on Twitter at BetRightPod if you ever want us to look at an odds boost and give our opinion. Anything left to say before we dive into week 8?
Nope. Let's do it.
All right. Thursday night football. Very, very interesting game here. We have the Green Bay Packers against the Arizona Cardinals. Cardinals are up to 6.5-point home favorites. Over under is down to 50. This opened at 53 and Cardinals minus 3.5. I got screwed on this one. This is a good example of the negatives of betting games early. I was on the Packers at plus 3.5 Monday morning. About 2 hours later, I get news that the defensive coordinator has COVID. It goes to plus 4, not a big deal. Then Devontae Adams gets COVID. Now it goes to 6. Allen Lazard, 6.5. I'm basically stuck here. So I'm in at 3.5. Obviously don't feel great about it, but there wasn't really much I could do. I tried to find a way to hedge or cash out, but I'm just going to ride it out at this point. So we have no Devontae Adams, probably no Allen Lazard. They may get Marquez Valdez-Scantling back on the Packers side, but regardless, it's going to be a pretty depleted wide receiving core. Do you have any position on this game, Rue? And if not, what would be your advice here now that the line is 6.5 and 50?
Well, so I understand you're thinking of getting in on this early. I was kind of torn on which way this was going to go because, on the one hand, you have Aaron Rodgers and the Packers who are on this win streak and everyone loves Aaron Rodgers, but the Cardinals are turning into a public team now where, obviously undefeated, they're getting pretty convincing wins. So I could have seen this going either way. And I was kind of in the boat where if this dipped at like 3 to 3 or 2.5, I was going to take the Cardinals. If it went to 4.5, I was going to take the Packers. I just thought that's kind of where the value was. So I didn't have a play on this before the Adams news, but now that it's obviously all this news came out, I took the Cardinals in a teaser. I don't see them have any issues winning this game. Look, Devontae Adams had a 33% target share on the Packers, which is second in the league, just unheard of. No Allen Lazard, like you said, maybe MVS comes back. And honestly, I don't think enough is being made of the defensive coordinator being out. Like that's a big deal, not having your play caller on defense against, maybe a top 2-3 offense in the league. And look, the Packers are 6-1, but I don't think they've really looked like world beaters in any games. Like the defense has held their own despite some injuries. But, like I said, no defensive coordinator here, I think, is a big deal. They haven't really been getting too much pressure on the quarterback. Arizona scored 30 points in 6 out of 7 games. So now you're asking this Packers offense to compete with that without Aaron Rodgers' safety blanket and their number one red zone threat. The Packers are bottom 10 in the league in red zone offense already, and now you're taking Adams out of here. I just don't see how the Packers come out of this and win. But at the same time, I'm not going to advise laying 6 points against Aaron Rodgers. So I think I feel pretty safe with the Cardinals and the teaser to win the game.
Okay, I think I'm actually going to go the other direction. I kind of really like the Packers here. I'm waiting to see if this gets to 7. Like I said, I already have a pretty decently sized position on the Packers. So, but if I had no position, I would take 6.5 with the Packers. I would take 7. I think it might get to 7. It seems like the line has been climbing. I just think we've seen too many notable non-quarterback injuries move lines this year, and they've pretty much all been dead wrong. Darren Waller goes out like an hour before the game last week. The line drops from 3 to 1.5. Raiders cover easily. Saints go from -4 to -6 on Monday Night Football against the Seahawks because they got a few linemen and defensive players back. Seahawks cover easily. So I just don't think that the line should be moving this much. Davante Adams is an important player, but you're telling me this went from 3.5 to 6.5 just because the defensive coordinator and 2 receivers are out.
But you got to understand, like Adams isn't like, you can't compare Adams to other top receivers around the league because his value to this offense is he's the most valuable receiver in the league, in my opinion, to this offense. Because
even the most valuable receiver in the league isn't worth this much.
Who is Rodgers throwing to now? Okay,
who's ever on Aaron Jones? I think Aaron Jones is going to have a monster game. They still have fine. Robert Tunyan.
That's fine, but look, this offense only put up 300 yards last week against one of the worst defenses in the NFL.
Yeah, but the way that their offense is built, they're built to methodically move the ball down the field and eat clock. They're going to keep the Cardinals off the field. They're going to have these 8-minute drives. If they can convert in the red zone, I think they can keep it. But what about the defense? Keep it a 1-score game.
Yeah, what about the defense? I don't think. I don't know. I'm
not saying I love their defense. I get that the defensive coordinator being out is a big loss, but it's still Aaron Rodgers getting 6.5 points.
And having this happen on a short week on the road, traveling to area, it's just so, I don't know, man. I look, like I said, I would not take or lay 6.5 with the Cardinals against Aaron Rodgers, but I couldn't get there with the Packers either.
You can. I would strongly advise against laying 6.5 with the Cardinals at this point. If you wanted to bet the Cardinals, you should have bet them at 3.5 or 4 or 5 or whatever. If you bet them now, you're taking the absolute worst of the number. I would never bet the Cardinals here. And just one more stat to further prove my point: the Packers are 6-0 in the last 2 years and 5-1 against the spread without Davante Adams, and that includes wins over the Saints and Drew Brees, the Cowboys in 2018, and Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs in 2018.
But you still need to look at it's more than just Adams missing at this point. It's the spot, it's the defense, there's no Lazard either.
I get that there's more than just Adams.
More than Adams. That's the thing. Like if there was just no Adams here and it was a Sunday game, like I would completely be on board. I just think there's too much stat against the Packers here. But in terms of props, like you said, I actually, before we hopped on here, I bet Aaron Jones over 34.5 receiving yards in 7 games without Davante Adams. He is averaging 48 receiving yards per game. And like we said, no Lazard, MVS questionable. Even if MVS plays, he's still going to be more of a deep ball threat. He's not really going to be a possession guy. So I could see a lot of screen passes to Jones and getting the ball in the hands of probably the only big time playmaker left on this offense. Because if you're relying on the corpse of Randall Cobb and Mercedes Lewis to get the job done, it's going to be a long night.
Could not agree more. Aaron Jones was all over him as soon as that opened. I actually got it 30.5, so feeling pretty good about that. He's also had it. Yeah, you missed the opener, man. Got to pay attention. Jones has also had at least 4 targets and 4 catches in each of the last 3 games. So all over him over receiving yards. I would take it anywhere in the 30s. You could even look at a rushing plus receiving yards somewhere in the 90s. Took him anytime touchdown at -110. How do you feel about Robert Tunyan? I found a plus 250 anytime touchdown on him. Feel like he's got to be at least the number 1 target in the red zone in the passing game.
Yeah, Cardinals are the top team in the league defending the tight end. So it's like he's been, I think it was like under 15 yards in 5 games so far this season. So yeah,
he hasn't been good. I'm definitely,
so obviously, Did you say you took his touchdown?
Yeah, I was just looking at anytime touchdown.
Yeah, I mean it's not bad at plus money. There's like we're saying, there's limited guys for him to throw to. I think he could get it, or if the Packers end up scoring 3 touchdowns, they could all very well be Aaron Jones is one of his games where he's just scoring.
He loves to have those games where he does nothing and then comes out and scores 4 touchdowns.
Who knows? Yeah, I will be curious to see what AJ Dillon's props are, because he might get a bigger run here. They might do a lot of 2-back sets.
They're
with
posted.
him and the. Okay, I didn't see his before he came on.
His rush yards is at 32.5.
Was his receiving yards up?
I don't think. 10.5 receiving yards.
All right, I might take a look at that.
He scared me last week, though, because we were kind of high on him going into last week, and luckily the line ended up being a little bit higher than we wanted. I'm trying to look it up here, but I feel like he only had like 6 rushing yards last week and like did absolutely nothing.
Yeah, you're right. I remember looking, because I remember we both passed on the line. He had 6 rushing yards.
3 carries for 6 yards, 1 catch for 2 yards, and no catches the week before.
He's getting a couple targets every week, and maybe that gets bumped up this week. So I don't know. 10's a pretty low number. He could get it on 1 catch, but yeah, it's definitely a riskier play.
All right, I have 1 play on the Cardinals. Do you have any plays on the Cardinals side? Otherwise, I can try and sell you on this one.
I was leaning 1 just a James Conner touchdown at plus money, but I think Chase Edmonds is getting too involved in the offense now for me. So go ahead.
Yeah, but Edmonds still doesn't really see goal line work. Like I still think you're fine with a touchdown.
He was in there a couple inside the 10. So last week,
Connor got his touchdown. That's all I cared about. All right. The prop that I was looking at was Kyler Murray, 310 passing plus rushing yards, and I'm going under here. So Kyler's pass prop actually opened at like 258.5, and I was kind of leaning over. I stayed off it just a little bit because I wanted to see what happened with all this Packers stuff. So his passing yards total skyrocketed up to 276.5. And I think that now that the Packers have these COVID problems, Devontae Adams is out, there's probably a little bit of a better chance that the Cardinals are playing for a lead here. So I think under 310.5. Kyler's been under this in 4 straight games. Both these teams are bottom 8 in the league in pace. I think this Packers offense is really going to try and have these slower, methodical drives, keep the Cardinals offense off the field, eat the clock. And the Packers have actually only allowed 1 quarterback on the entire season to go over 310 total yards. And it was a total fluke because Taylor Heineke ran for 95 yards last week. That was the only reason he went over this total. How do you feel about it? And Kyler really hasn't been running this year.
Oh, I was going to say I would rather just take his rushing yards under. I think they can pick apart this secondary. So if I were to lean his passing yards prop, I would take his over on his passing yards prop. But definitely he hasn't been running for any yardage of late. So I would more just lean his under rush yards.
Yeah, if you want to go that route, the rush yards are at 29.5. So I certainly don't mind that either.
Yeah.
All right. That will wrap up our Thursday Night Football recap. Let's jump to the Sunday slate of games. Let's kick it over to the Cincinnati Bengals against the New York Jets. Jets are 10.5-point home underdogs. Over under is 42.5. Bengals currently occupying the top spot in the AFC as well as their division. Jets came off a bye last week with one of the worst performances I've ever seen against the New England Patriots. Obviously, we have Zach Wilson out 2 to 4 weeks. Sounds like it's going to be Mike White this week. I believe that was made official today, not Joe Flacco. This is a little bit of a tough spot for the Bengals. This is their 3rd straight road game. Like I said earlier, coming off one of the biggest regular season wins in franchise history. Might be a bit of a letdown spot, but I think it's pretty clear that there's a talent disparity here between this Bengals team and the Jets team. What's your play here? Do you have a play on the side or total?
Oh boy, do I have a play. I don't think people are.
I forgot about this.
I don't think people are going to believe me at the spread I got this
in the CLV Hall of Fame.
Last Friday, I always look at the lines for the next week.
We know.
Yeah, everyone, as it's been well documented on this podcast.
It's worked out every time though, so I can't fault you.
Yeah. Friday afternoon, I see a Bengals at Jets a -3.5 for the Bengals, and when they're just pouncing on the Ravens on Sunday, I'm just licking my chops knowing that this line is opening over a touchdown, and now we're at double digits. Are you kidding me? So my only only thing here is now I'm debating if I want to go for some type of middle here because, I have a 3.5. It's at 10.5. So I'm crossing 6, 7, and 10 to possibly cash both these bets if I take a Jets plus 10.5. I really wish it was Joe Flacco that slid in here as starting quarterback because then I would probably take it. But I don't know if I can trust this Mike White guy. I might just settle with my Bengals minus 3.5, which is feeling like free money right now. So
yeah, I don't know if you even need to get greedy with a middle just because Mike White's such an unknown. I don't know if it's even worth it.
Yeah. And their secondary is absolutely brutal. So
yeah, their secondary is brutal. Huge mismatch in the trenches. The Bengals have awesome D-line. The Jets O-line has been pretty brutal. I don't have a play here. If it ever got to 8.5, the Jets or the Bengals would be the teaser leg of all teaser legs, but it sounds like the spread is moving the other way. So maybe in like a chalk donkey parlay, the Bengals are fine, but like outside of that, I'm not playing this one.
I wish, that's the only thing. Like normally, obviously, if I would see a Bengals 3.5, I would throw like 3 units on it. But being that they still had to play a game between, it's just too risky to go too heavy.
Burrow could go down and then you're screwed. Like it's hard to go crazy.
I got lucky that it was Zach Wilson who got hurt, but it could have very well have been Burrow or Chase or some of these other guys. So it's just too risky to go too heavy on it. But I always end up kicking myself when I get such good value on it. But it's the smart play in the moment.
What are you going to do? For props here, we do not have official lines. We record this podcast Wednesday night around 7:00 Eastern time. I am going to be looking at the Jets running back reception totals. So Ty Johnson, the Jets backup running back, went 6 for 65 last week, and Michael Carter went 8 for 67. Those were both season high for those players by a full 3 catches and at least 35 yards. Zach Wilson had really not been looking at the running backs much in the passing game. So you might be able to get a pretty good discount here because it looked like Mike White was just checking it down as much as possible. Maybe that's because he had to come in without any preparation, and it might look a little bit different this week. But if you can get like a 2.5 reception total on a Michael Carter, something like that, I think that could be a really good look because it's probably going to be lower than what it should be just because of his stats so far this season.
Yeah, you took the devil's advocate argument out of my mouth. Is that he was just thrown in the fire with not much game planning for him. So maybe,
but I mean, on the other side, it's Mike White. Like, what's he going to do? Come out and throw 80-yard bombs to Corey Davis this week? Like, he's not an NFL quarterback. Of course, he could go checking it down.
He could go 3 and out every time. Realistically,
I mean, he could, but like the Bengals D line is going to get pressure on him. I could certainly see a lot of running back dump offs, and if the Jets are smart, they'll try and get it out of his hands quickly. So, but yeah, look, you never want to put too much money into a player needing to catch passes from Mike White because you're just asking for trouble. All right, next game on the slate, we have the Dolphins and the Bills. Bills are 13.5-point home favorites. Over under is at 49.5. Bills coming off their bye, as we kind of touched on before. This Dolphins team is pretty much dead. We have Dawson Knox, starting tight end for the Buffalo Bills, is going to miss. Will Fuller is still going to be out for the Dolphins. I struggle to see how the Dolphins are going to move the ball that much here. The Bills defensive line is one of the best in the league. Huge mismatch. The Dolphins offensive line is like bottom 3 in terms of DVOA and adjusted line yards. They're not going to be able to run the ball. I think Tua is going to be under pressure. We saw these two teams play in week 2. I believe the Bills won like 35-0. I think this one is all Bills. I could see a beat down here.
Yeah, it's crazy because the Bills in Miami early in the season was my favorite bet of the week. And it was like I got the Bills like minus 2.5, just 2.5 or 3 or something. Yeah. And now we're sitting here, 5-6 weeks later, and we're looking at a double-digit spread. Buffalo has absolutely owned the Dolphins in their last 10 games. They're 8-2 straight up, 7-3 against the spread. They've won 6 straight. Josh Allen in 7 games versus the Dolphins has 1,700 yards, 19 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. So they just own the Dolphins here, but I'm just still too reluctant to lay these big spreads here because you still need a lot. You still need a lot of things to go your way to cover the spread, but it's a stay away for me.
I'm going to be laying it this week with the Bills. I will touch on this game a little bit later, but I'm going to be all over the Bills here. I did find, I don't really buy into too many trends or stuff like that, but I did find one that stuck out to me in this game. The Bills have had the lead after the first quarter in 9 straight games. Coming off a bye week, coming off a bitter loss for the Titans, I think Sean McDermott's going to have these guys fired up and ready to go. I found a Bills minus 167 on the three-way first quarter money line. So that's, you can take Dolphins money line, Bills money line, or a tie. So they have to be winning by at least 1 point for that to cash. So I found that at minus 167 on Fox Bet. I think that's a great look. Could also be a parlay piece if you don't want to lay 13.5 points in the game. Just take the Bills to get out to an early lead. So I thought that was a good angle.
I personally just don't play the first quarter bets. I think there's too much.
I don't think I've ever played one before.
Yeah,
but very rare. But
I mean, in such a lopsided matchup like this, I can get it. But normally, like coin toss plays such a big thing, and the Dolphins could realistically get the ball first, like move the ball a little bit, kill some clock. Bills only end up getting one possession, don't score, and then that's the end of the quarter once they punt it back and the Dolphins run a few plays. But yeah, like in a lopsided matchup like this, like I said, I could see playing one.
And then we don't have props for this game. I will be looking at Josh Allen passing yards and maybe like an over 2.5 passing touchdowns at plus money. Dolphins pass defense has been one of the worst in the league. Their run defense is pretty average. And we know Buffalo's a team that whether they're down 3, up 10, up 20, they're going to throw the ball early and often. So I think Josh Allen's certainly going to be in for a big game. And it's a little bit hard to know which receiver he's going to target. Maybe you could look at a Tommy Sweeney anytime touchdown, filling in for Dawson Knox. Maybe Gabe Davis gets in a little bit more in 4 wide receiver sets. But Allen's been spreading the ball out to a lot of different receivers. So I'd probably just stick with him rather than trying to guess who's going to catch the passes.
Yeah. Nothing here for me. No props.
All right, moving on. Let's go to the Rams and the Texans. Another big spread game this week. Rams are 14-point road favorites. Over under is up to 47.5. Rams get to finish up their trifecta of playing 3 of the worst teams in the league: Giants, Lions, Texans, back to back to back. We do not have official news on Tyrod Taylor yet for the Houston Texans. He is back at practice, but don't know if it's going to be him or Davis Mills. Let's start there. If this was... Does the quarterback make a difference to you? If I told you it was Tyrod Taylor and the number was 14, or if it was Davis Mills, would you have a big difference one way or the other? Or are you just passing on this because it's a 14-point spread?
Oh, it's massive difference. If Tyrod's in and this holds at 2 touchdowns or more, I'm absolutely taking the Texans. If it's Davis Mills, I'm just staying away. Okay.
So you think there's that big of a difference? I mean, Tyrod definitely looked good in the beginning of the season, but it was also like a 2-game sample size.
Yeah, but come on, Davis Mills.
I mean, I know he's better than Davis Mills, but
Tyrod's a competent quarterback. Like, he can move the ball a little bit. The Rams defense has definitely looked pretty susceptible. You know, the Lions were moving the ball pretty decent against them last game. So
Dan Campbell had him on the ropes.
Yeah, he did. But of course, they found a way to screw it up. But Jared Goff found a way to screw it up. If Tyrod's in this, I have no problem taking 2 touchdowns with the Texans here.
All right. There's a lot of stuff going on in this Texans organization. Did you see Brandon Cook's tweet today? So Mark Ingram got traded back to the Saints. And did you see what Brandon Cooks put out on Twitter?
I did, yes. And, I mean,
it's not a great look.
Yeah, when you're on a bad team, it's, stuff's going to – Brandon Cooks probably wanted to be traded. That's probably the issue, but I don't know.
Probably,
I mean, do you look at David Johnson props now, see where they open at? Or is it not even worth it? Maybe in the passing game if he's on the field more.
Yeah, I took his over receiving yards 2 weeks ago, and it just wasn't happening. I think he had 1 catch for 10 yards and fumbled the ball and then never got another target. So
yeah,
it's tough. But yeah, maybe we can see where him and Phillip Lindsay line up in the prop market and just see what it looks like, because at least there's one less mouth to feed there.
Yeah.
I don't have a play here on the spread. I'm probably not going to touch it either way. For props, I do want to look at Darrell Henderson over rush yards. So was on him 2 weeks ago, came through last week, held off because I figured Stafford narrative might play in a little bit, and it certainly did. The Rams leaned on the pass game a little bit more. But this Texans defense is ranked 12th in DVOA versus the pass compared to 30th against the run. So I think Darrell Henderson has a nice bounce back week here. I think if we can get another line in the mid to high 70s, maybe get him for an anytime touchdown, I'm around minus 110. I'm going to be all over Darrell Henderson this week.
All right.
Anything for you?
Nope.
All right. That will wrap it up for that game. Let's go to the Philadelphia Eagles and the Detroit Lions. Eagles are 3.5-point road favorites. Over under is 48. Very conflicted here. We've seen the Eagles have a lot of success against some bad teams and bad offenses. They beat the Falcons and they beat the Panthers, and then they've struggled against the Chiefs, Bucks, Cowboys, and Raiders. So the Lions certainly not a good offense, but the Lions are also kind of due for a win here. They're at home. The Eagles have not looked good. Miles Sanders is going to be out. I really keep going back and forth. I keep ping-ponging. Do you have a strong take on this one? I really can't decide.
Yeah, so the spread's a no-go for me. I took the over 47.5. Both these teams top five in pace. Both are bottom 10 in defensive DVOA, bottom 5 in red zone defense. I could see both these teams being pretty aggressive on fourth downs, and that will either, extend these drives or end up giving the other team good field position. So it's just kind of a bet that both these offenses are a little bit more competent than their defenses, because their defenses have been terrible. I feel like we've seen, we talked about the Lions moving the ball pretty well last week against a Rams defense that's much better than the Eagles. And there's been other scenarios where the Lions have, looked like a pretty competent offense. With DeAndre Swift looks great. Goff looks good when he's not turning the ball over. And same thing with the Eagles. They go through these spurts where their offense looks good. They're moving it up and down the field, but then they absolutely shut down. So against this bad Lions defense, I think both teams will be able to run or pass. So I could see an over 47.5 here.
My only problem with that, I agree with everything you said. I'd almost just rather use that same thought process and turn it into taking a couple overs in the prop game, just because I feel like yards are going to be plentiful in this game. I'm just worried about these teams being able to convert in the red zone. I have personal firsthand experience betting on overs in Lions game, and they get into the red zone every possession and just turn the ball over, turn over on fourth downs, miss field goal. It's just, I feel like this could be one of those games where there's 800 yards and the final score is somehow 20-17 and you just get screwed.
Yeah, that's fine. And that's where, I had the same concerns, but then I saw they're both bottom 5 in red zone defense. So like I said, I'm just kind of weighing how bad their defenses are versus their offenses. And I'm saying the offenses are going to be able to take advantage of the defense. So.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, we'll see where the prop lines come out. I'm definitely going to be looking at some overs in this game. Where are you at with Jalen Hurts? Are we ready to declare that he is not a starting quarterback in this league?
No, I'm not out on Hurts. I see good things from him. I definitely have concerns about his arm. It's just so hard with this coaching staff, who I think is really just putting him in a bad position. It's tough enough in this league as a young quarterback, but when you're not getting, when the defense can just sit on the pass all game, it's tough to play quarterback in this league. And I'm not sold on him by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm not completely out on. I'm more in on him right now than I am on Tua. So let's put it that way. So there's still room to convince me, but it's just the coaching that I think I'm more down on.
I think I might rather have Tua. I think I'm kind of out on Hurts.
I don't know.
I like the guy. I want to see him succeed. I'm rooting for him. I love the guy, but I just don't like his decision making. There's guys open. He's late making the throw. He doesn't make the throw. He overthrows it. I don't know if he has an NFL arm. I love the rushing ability, love the leadership, but I just don't know if he's an NFL quarterback. I think he's going to be an elite backup.
That's fine. And that could very well be the case in a year or two. But, right now, I think you let him finish out the season and see what you can get.
All right. Just going to blind myself in the face here. All right, let's go on. Do you have any props in this game? I definitely going to be looking at some overs. I might look at some DeAndre Swift. It's tough without any numbers, especially in the Eagles passing game. I feel like they kind of spread it out every week. Maybe you could look at a Dallas Goedert anytime touchdown, his yards. I don't really know how the running back situation is going to play out. So I don't have any official looks here. Did you have anything you were going to be looking at?
Yeah, when it comes to the prop markets, I'm more there'll be a few spots I'm leaning, but it's more I wait till they come out and then kind of look through them and try and find the value. So I don't have anything as of right now.
You let the lines speak to you.
Exactly.
Got it. All right. Wait for the lines to come out, see which one speaks to you, and then you make the play.
Right.
All right, let's kick it over to the AFC North. Let's go Steelers, Browns. Browns are 3.5-point home favorites. This over-under is down to 42. I was betting as much money as they would let me bet on the under this last week, which was not a lot of money. I think I got like $75 before I was capped. So I got the under at 45. I added a little bit more at 44.5. So I'm feeling pretty good about that. We do not have official word on Baker versus Case Keenum, but these have not been two great offenses. They're teams that want to try and run the ball. We know the Steelers' problems with Big Ben at quarterback scoring. So this one on the side, it's kind of tough for me. I think the Browns are going to be able to run the ball effectively. It sounds like Chubb is going to be back there with Ernest Johnson. Browns are still the best run blocking team in the league. Steelers D line has fared well rushing the passer, but they're actually 26th in adjusted line yards against the run. So I think the Browns are really going to be able to control the line of scrimmage, run the ball, eat the clock. I just don't like that it's over a field goal. So I might look at Brown's money line at like minus 170. That was kind of my thought here because I think they're likely to win, but I don't love laying more than 3 with them. What do you have on this?
Yeah, this was an easy game for me. If I was to lean aside, it would be the Steelers, but I refuse to lose any more money.
Shocker.
On this team. I refuse to lose any more money, so I'm just staying away from this game. I don't, like you said, I don't think you can lay more than a field goal in this game. As much as you say you're on the Browns, I don't think you can argue with me that if you were taking the spread, it would have to be the Steelers here.
Yeah. I'd probably, if I got a flat 3, I would take the Browns.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's not a flat 3. It's a 3.5.
It's getting there. The 3.5 is minus 115 to the Steelers. So we're getting closer.
People might think, we make a big deal about like a half a point. It's a big deal. I got in on it twice the last 2 weeks. So last week I got in on the Saints line early at -3. It ended up closing at 4.5. Ended on a 3. I got a push. Same thing with the Packers a couple weeks ago against the Bengals. I got a 3 and I got a push. So it's a big deal. Like the 3 games end on 3 very often. So it's worth waiting for that half to disappear or half to come if you're betting on the underdog.
And the juice is also something I've been looking at a lot more this year. I want the Browns at a flat 3, but I want it at minus 110. I don't want it to be like a minus 123 because that's just a juicy 3. I want it to be like a flat minus 110. So the number matters, the half point matters, the juice matters.
Yeah.
Props in this game, not much. Maybe you could look at a Najee, a Chubb, but I don't really know how the backfield is going to be split up in the Cleveland. Would never touch any of the pass catchers here.
No.
Probably nothing.
Nah, I don't want anything to do with either of these offenses.
All right, moving on. Not a very fun game there. Let's go Panthers, Falcons. Atlanta Falcons, 3-point home favorites. Over under is 45.5. I believe the Falcons are on a 3-game winning streak here. Panthers have obviously been an absolute disaster ever since Christian McCaffrey went down. They can't move the ball. Sam Darnold's getting benched for PJ Walker. I jumped in on the under here at 47.5, feeling very good about that. It's currently 45.5. I honestly don't hate that. I think the Falcons offense has looked pretty good, but the Panthers defense is pretty good. It's definitely their best unit. They've been struggling moving the ball. I think this is probably a lower scoring game. So I'd probably look at the under here, and then the spread. If you made me take it, I'd have to back the Panthers. Like, I'm not laying 3 with the Falcons. As bad as the Panthers are, you just have to take the 3. But I'd probably just pass. It's not even worth it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't have a play on the side. I just had a couple props here. I like you said, I don't want to be on this Panthers team, but I'm not laying 3 with the Falcons right now.
What'd you have for props?
So first one is if they keep floating out a Robbie Anderson 4.5 receptions, I will continue to take I will continue to take the under every week. I don't care what the juice is. I think I laid minus 165 last week. Normally I wouldn't keep playing a guy like this who's seeing a lot of target volume, but his catchable pass rate is 72% and his catch rate is 67%. So, if he's seeing somewhere between 7 and 10 targets, which he's been saying, he's going to keep going under this. They haven't been able to sustain drives. Matt Rule said they want to commit to the run game more, which they weren't really able to get to last week because of game script, but leads me into my next prop. I do like Chuba Hubbard here. If you get something in the low 60s, maybe, he only had 12 carries last week, but like I said,
I believe he was 67.5. They just took it off the board, but I believe that's where he opened at.
All right, that's probably on the brink of where I would take it, and maybe I'd like to see if I could get like a 65 or something somewhere, but I think they can have success running the ball here. Matt Rule said that's what they want to get back to, so I could see him getting 15 plus carries in this game, and I'll see what his attempts are at as well. So if you get something below 15, I might take that.
I don't know if I can get there with Chuba. Matt Rule also said he wanted to try and establish the run going into the Giants game, and that turned into 12 carries for 28 yards for Chuba.
I just said that. The game script really wasn't in their favor to keep doing that. That's why.
I mean, he also didn't do it. I mean, when he got 12 carries, he turned it into 2 yards per carry.
Yeah, well, I think you can run better on the Falcons than the Giants. Not that the Giants have a great defense, but they have a better
No, they're
defensive
better
line
than the
than
Falcons for
yeah.
sure.
So
did you see where Robbie's yards and receptions were posted? They came on like 20 minutes before we were on the show.
I did not.
All right, guess where his yards opened up at?
44.5.
46.5.
Okay. And
how do you not how do you not play the under?
Though? I would rather play
his yards.
Nah, I'd rather play his receptions because you can still get a downfield target that they finally connect on one for like 30 plus yards. It's not out.
But he's getting 11 and 9 targets.
Yeah, and they're converting to I think he's had 5 catches once the entire season.
Okay, well, let's just bet both of them. He went 11 targets for 3 catches and 11 yards and followed it up with 9 targets and 3 catches for 14 yards. The under 4.5 receptions was at -170.
But is this on FanDuel or DraftKings? I don't see
it was on DraftKings. They just took it off the board for some reason.
Okay, all right.
So I already bet both of these. I would even like a under 3.5 receptions if we can get that at like +120. I'm sure some sites will offer that once these are posted across the industry.
Yeah, I think you just got to keep taking it until we see otherwise.
Prove to me you don't suck, Robbie Anderson. Prove it, and I'll jump off.
Yes.
Till then, we ride. All right, next game. Let's go Titans and Colts. Potentially the game of the week in the 1 o'clock window.
Sorry, why do they keep posting all these props and taking them down? There was a bunch earlier. Now they're all down.
They just took that whole game down. I don't know.
And the Titans and stuff were up earlier. Now they're back off. Yeah, weird. Whatever. Sorry. Go ahead.
I don't know what they're doing. Anyway, the potential game of the week in the 1 o'clock window. 2 teams battling for the AFC South lead, Titans and Colts. This line has been flipping between -1, -1.5. Either way, looks like the Colts are slight favorites right now. Whoa, total is up to 51. This is up a couple points from the opener. Pretty interesting matchup dynamics here. Derrick Henry, obviously the best running back in football, goes up against the Colts and their number 1 ranked in terms of DVOA, number 1 ranked run defense. So that's a very interesting matchup dynamic. Carson Wentz has been playing a little bit better. Colts have been, looking better the last few weeks. Could have beat the Ravens, won last week on primetime against the Niners. Do you have a play in this closely contested game?
Yeah, so I teased the Colts when they were at +1.5, so I got them over a touchdown. I was waiting to see where the line ended up. I kind of expected some more money on the Titans, but it ended up going the other way. So I'm going to have a play on the Colts. I just want to see where this ends up on Sunday. So, maybe we get back to a +1 or something like that. So I'm just going to hold out, but I will have a play on the Colts. I do like them to win this game. I love them in teasers if they come back to +1 again. Look, this Colts team is a completely different team than when they first played early in the season. The success of this running game has just worked wonders for this offense. Wentz has looked pretty good the last few weeks. It's just all about capitalizing in the red zone, which is obviously we kind of harp on that every week. It's just been a huge issue. We saw some issues last week again for the Colts. Luckily, it didn't cost them in the end. But Titans defense is actually pretty good in the red zone. They're 7th in the league in red zone touchdown percentage. But I think if the Colts just keep pounding away with Jonathan Taylor against this Titans defense that's allowing 4.7 yards per carry, I think they can have a ton of success if they just lean on his back. Wentz makes the throws he needs to make. Colts number 1 in DVOA against the rush, like you said, doesn't always mean Derrick Henry's going to be shut down, obviously, but we did see him limited by a very poor Chiefs defense last week, which was shocking. Only, what do you have, 80 yards on 29 carries?
Who would have thought the Chiefs defense would shut down Derrick Henry and lose by 24?
Yeah. So, despite that last week, I still think this Tennessee defense is bottom 5. And I think these offenses are pretty comparable. So give me the Colts here with their backs against the wall in a game that could arguably decide the division if they lose. So I love the Colts here.
I was kind of leaning Titans, but I haven't pulled the trigger yet. I do like your thought on the teaser. Do you remember who you teased the Colts with? Because I mean, we love teasers. We talk about them every week. I do not see a lot of great teaser options on the board. So I honestly haven't put in a single teaser yet, and I've been trying to find spots. Do you remember who you paired them with?
Yeah, I did it with the Cardinals, so I know you're not going to do that, but yeah, that's who I did it with. I think there's a couple other spots that we can get to, but yeah, there's definitely not as many spots this week as past weeks.
Okay, I think that's fair. Might be a live betting game for me. We'll see. I don't think I'm gonna have a play pre-flop unless this gets up to maybe like a Titans plus money line. For player props here, we are both all over Jonathan Taylor. Go ahead, I'll let you break that down.
Jonathan Taylor, I think we both got him at 68.5. Over 100 yards in 3 out of the last 4 games. He's definitely become the focal point of this offense. Last time these teams played, 10 for 64, so not as many carries, but he averaged 6.4 yards per carry. Like I said, Titans allowing 4.7 yards per carry. Taylor should get over 15 carries in this game. This line, it makes no sense to me. When I saw it, I was expecting mid to upper 70s, maybe
as we were last week, and he flew over.
So I don't know how you don't take this. I absolutely love this, and may even have more on this later. So
yeah, by far favorite play in this game. Absolutely hammered it. That was pretty much all I had. We don't have props for the receivers. I will look at a Michael Pittman here. I think T.Y. Hilton's going to be back for this game, but Pittman has been the pit man in this Colts passing offense. He seems to have good connection with Wentz down the field. So I'm going to look at his receiving props. Then maybe you could look at an AJ Brown again. If he's opening in the 60s, he's been getting a little bit hot over the last few weeks, torched the Chiefs last week. So those would be my looks here for props. All right, let's go to our debate of the week. We have still on the 1:00 slate. So the San Francisco 49ers against the Chicago Bears. Are we doing 3.5 here? 3?
3.5. Yeah, I'm mad at myself. I thought money was going to go the other way, and the 3 ended up coming up, but I got the 49ers at 3.5, so I'm fine with it.
I actually made the same mistake. I took the Bears at 3.5, and there's now 4s popping up. So we both missed half a point here. Right. So this is going to be our debate of the week. Rue's going to be on the Niners. I will be on the Bears here. I'll go first. Let me just first start off by saying there's a lot of things that suck in this game. The 49ers suck. Jimmy Garoppolo sucks. The Bears suck. Matt Nagy sucks. This game sucks. But
are you pulling a 8 Mile on me when Eminem comes up at the end and just craps on himself and leaving me with
I was crapping on both sides.
Leaving me with no argument, basically.
Look, it's hard for me to say that many good things about the Bears. Like, let's be honest here. This is another one of these games where I'm backing a terrible team, not necessarily because I love this team, but because I hate your team. I think the best thing going for the Bears here, if I'm being honest, is that Matt Nagy has COVID. That might be the single best thing.
Dude, I don't know if I would have bet the 49ers, but if I knew this was going to happen.
Yeah, when I saw that, I was like, this might be the key to unlocking Justin Fields. We have Matt Nagy having COVID. And this, to me, look, these teams have just both been bad. The Niners are 2-4 on the season. Their only 2 wins are against the 2-4 Philadelphia Eagles and the winless Detroit Lions. They're on a 4-game losing streak. The Bears haven't been great, but they're 3-4. They have wins over the Raiders and the Bengals, who are the top 2 teams in the AFC right now on the playoff picture somehow. So at least they have some good wins on their schedule. Both these teams are bottom 3 in the league at third down conversion rate at 31%. The over-under is 39.5. We've seen a couple of these games in the last few weeks with these under a touchdown, but over a field goal spreads in these low total games. You had Steelers, Seahawks. I was on the Seahawks +4. They covered. Saints, Seahawks. I'm on the Seahawks +6. They cover. Broncos, Browns. Same thing. You get the Broncos at +3.5. They cover. So in these games where it's a 39.5 over-under, you just got to take the side with getting over a field goal. I think the Bears can move the ball enough here to keep it close. And this 49ers offense just sucks right now. Without George Kittle, Jimmy G is lost. Trey Lance probably needs to start playing, but if he does, I don't think that he's going to be a big upgrade. So I love the Bears here with the points. I was not expecting to back them. Give me over a field goal here with the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, look, I can't even hate your side in this. Like, I get everything you're saying. Normally I come on here and your arguments usually suck, but look, you can be
so nice.
You can make a case for the Bears in this game, but look, I think everyone, when this spread first came out, it was, the 49ers were on prime time, national TV. Everyone saw them in that Sunday night game. Didn't look great, but look, the conditions were horrible. I don't know how much you can take. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But look, I just want to read off, just to throw out there, Justin Fields stats for the season. Oof. 116 passing yards per game. By the way, his under last week was the easiest bet I'll ever hit. 57% completion percentage. 2 touchdown passes, 6 interceptions, 6 fumbles, and sacked 22 times.
Bears 6 fumbles?
6 fumbles. I think it was 4 fumbles lost or 3 fumbles lost, but 6 fumbles. Bears are averaging 14 points per game. They're 24th in team DVOA. They're 17th in defensive rush DVOA, so I think the 49ers will attack that. I think that was part of their issue last week. They went right down the field on the Colts running the ball against the number one rush defense in the league, and then it seemed like they went away from it a little bit. They started trying to throw the ball, so I think that was one of their issues, and that that could have very well been a different outcome if they just stuck with the run game. Chicago's biggest strength was arguably rushing the passer, and now they're missing their best pass rusher in Khalil Mack, so that's a big loss. Big loss in the run defense too. So look, Chicago wants to run the ball. They've shown the ability. They've been able to do that at times, but I don't think this defense is going to make it easy on them. They're 7th in stuff rate, 8th in adjusted line yards, and every team is going to do what they can to put this game on Fields' arm. I'm not, and I don't think I ever will be, high on this 49ers team. I made that clear coming into the season, but what I saw last week beyond Justin Fields looking as bad as he did is he just looked defeated, and we can look at all these numbers and find an edge on these games like we're supposed to do, but at some point we got to look at the human side of this kid is 22 years old, had all these high expectations surrounding him, is playing absolutely terrible, and I think there's just a mental aspect of this that's taking a toll on him. And I think it really showed last week. And I think it's just, I think he's going to keep playing, scared to make mistakes. And because of that, he's going to keep making mistakes. So give me the 49ers here, 3.5.
Yeah, but I think, it's one thing to look defeated when you're getting your brains beaten in by the greatest quarterback of all time on the best team in the league in the Bucs. Like, of course he's going to look like that.
But the Bucs defense hasn't been great. Like, their secondary, like there was a reason.
I'm talking about their team as a whole. Like, I know their defense hadn't been great. They looked good last week, but like that,
I don't know.
What do you want them to do?
I still, I look, I'm not weighing that a huge part of the handicap. I'm just saying there's a human element to it. Like, it's a 22, it could be 21. I was just estimating 22 years old, but there's some part of it that he's doubting himself, as he should be, as we all are. But I don't know. One prop in this game. I'm going to played it last week. See what it's at. Maybe we get a 6.5 again, but Deebo Samuel receptions.
It's 5.5 last week.
Okay, it was 5.5, whatever it was, but I would take it to 6.5. 36% target share, which is just absolutely unheard of. His targets this season: 11, 9, 13, 10, 8, 12. Like, it's just this guy without George Kittle, even with Kittle, he's a huge part of this offense. So I don't think they don't want to get Brandon Ayuk involved. So it's pretty much all Deebo Samuel in the passing game, and you're pretty much guaranteed at least 2 receptions on a couple screen passes they're going to throw to him. So I'll keep going there as long as we get a 6.5 or 5.5.
Yeah, I like that look a lot. For me, my prop bet in this game is going to be Khalil Herbert over rush yards. We'll see where it opens at. I'm hoping for something in the 60s or low 70s. Since David Montgomery has gone down, all he did was go 18 for 75, 19 for 97 and 1, and then 18 rushes for 100 yards against the best rush defense in the league, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, last week. And we just saw Jonathan Taylor run all over this Niners defense. I'm going to be all over Khalil Herbert. I think they're going to need him and give him as many carries as he can handle to keep the ball out of Justin Fields' hands. Maybe if they even give an over rush attempts, just in case the Niners are stacking the box, maybe you could look at that at like a 15.5 for the over rush attempts if you get scared off by the yards.
All right.
That'll wrap up our debate of the week. Let's go to the 4:00 slate. Let's go Patriots and Chargers. Chargers are currently -5. I know this bumped up to -6 earlier today. Over under is at 49. Patriots did lose cornerback Jonathan Jones for the year to a shoulder injury. Chargers coming off their bye. I went into this game kind of looking to bet the Chargers. I was hoping the number was going to be a little bit lower. I think it opened at 4.5, and I was considering it. I wanted to see if it dropped to 4. It went the other way on me. So no play here on the side. I don't really love this Patriots team. I've kind of said it all year. Maybe they can hang around here. Maybe not. I couldn't really find a actionable play here. Do you have anything?
Yeah, this isn't going to be a popular play, but I'm backing the Patriots. Once it got to 6, I took the +6. We talk about it every week. This Chargers defense, they're the worst team in the league against the run, and they have not wavered from this defense that they're just willing to allow teams to complete underneath throws and run the ball. And that, to me, plays right into the Patriots' hands. And I think Belichick is obviously a smart enough coach to exploit that. Damian Harris has looked great, as you've been talking about. So, Patriots actually rank higher in overall team DVOA. And one One part that I don't think gets factored in enough, and it's obviously a smaller part of the game, but when there is such a big disadvantage, it can come into play, and it's special teams. And Chargers are ranked dead last in the NFL in special teams DVOA. So if there's mistakes on special teams, that's huge when you're getting 6+ points in a spread. So, and I understand the love for the Chargers. I really do. I think they're a great team. I'm high on them. I love Justin Herbert, but I think there was a little bit of overreaction in the market from that Browns game. Outside of that, beat Washington by only 4 points, lost to Dallas where they didn't look great, beat the Chiefs who turned out to not be who everyone thought they were, beat the Raiders, and they got taken to the woodshed by the Ravens, who in turn got taken to the woodshed by the Bengals. So I don't know, man. I think the Chargers team is getting a little too much love. I wouldn't be shocked if they win this game, but 6 points is just too much for me to pass up here with a team that I think can exploit their weaknesses. So give me the Patriots +6.
I mean, to be fair, it's not like the Patriots have looked great this year either. They should have lost to the Texans.
Yeah, no, I agree. But, every week's a new matchup. And I think that the weaknesses on this Chargers defense, I just think like I said, play right into Belichick's hands.
Yeah, I hear you. I want to see how Chargers come looking out of the bye. I think Brandon Staley maybe has some stuff cooked up coming out of the bye week on offense. I'm all over Damian Harris this week, as you touched on. Going to look at his over rush yards. The Chargers have no interest in stopping the run. 5th in DVOA against the pass, dead last against the run. So I think they're going to ride Harris as they have been to try and keep this game close, run the clock. I'm going to be all over his rush yards. And then maybe you look at a Hunter Henry over receiving yards and an anytime touchdown. I know you mentioned that last week. Chargers are top 10 in every position in the receiving game, except for tight ends, where they rank 30th against opposing tight ends. And Henry has scored in 4 straight games. Jonnu Smith is going to be out. So Henry's not getting a ton of targets. So maybe you just go the touchdown route, but I think it's a good spot for him in the passing game and Damian Harris on the ground.
All right, I will be looking at Keenan Allen in this game. I think, obviously Mike Williams has been a top 5 receiver probably this year, and I think that's going to be a focal point of the defense. You might see some safety help shadowing him over top with a corner underneath. So I think this will be a good game for Keenan Allen. I think we could get a nice discount on his receptions and yardage based on his performance so far. So I will be keeping an eye out to see where his props open up at.
I gave you 6.5 receptions, -110 on either side. Would you take it?
-110. Yeah, I think I would take the over.
Okay.
I would prefer a 5.5 with juice on the over, but I'll take That's the 6.5. Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's go to our next game here. Jaguars and Seahawks. Seahawks are about 3.5 point home favorites, depending on where you're looking. Over under is 43.5. Jaguars coming off a bye, Seahawks coming off 2 tough primetime losses where they covered but did not win the game. They're on a short week. They are at home, though. I took the Jaguars here at 3.5. I like getting this over a field goal. Geno has been good to me. But Geno as a 6-point underdog is way different than Geno as a 3.5 point favorite. So I think Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars are going to be able to move the ball here. 2 bad defenses. I think the Seahawks offense will come alive a little bit more than they have the past 2 weeks. So I actually played the over at 43 as well. So give me the Jaguars and give me the over.
Yeah, I don't have a play here, but you said it. If you're playing this spread, I think you got to take the 3.5 with the Jaguars. As ugly as it sounds, you're not going to catch me laying over a field goal with Geno Smith. So, but no plays here for me.
Okay. No lines on the props yet. I think there's maybe could be some spots here. We'll see where the lines open up. Maybe Trevor Lawrence rush yards. Seahawks run D has actually been pretty good. So, we like James Robinson, but maybe it's not a great week for him. Maybe you look at Metcalf again in the Seahawks receiving game. So we'll see where they open up at, but no smash spots that I was really excited to bet on the prop side here.
Nope, nothing for me.
All right, let's go to another game where I probably don't have many prop bets, if any at all. The Washington football team against the Denver Broncos. Broncos are down to 3-point home favorites. Over under is around 44. This one could be ugly. These teams are a combined 0-6 over the last 3 weeks. De'Ami Brown is likely going to be out with a knee injury for the footballs. Jerry Jeudy likely on his way back for the Broncos. So maybe their offense gets a little bit of a boost. Gosh, this is just so hard. It's like trying to back either of these teams right now feels almost impossible. If you made me pick, I guess I would go with the footballs just because they're getting points, but I have no interest in betting this game.
Oh man, this was one of my first bets of the week. I took
how
dude, I took Washington +4. I knew there was no way a 4 was hanging around here, and I thought by now it would be at 2, to be honest with you. But I still have value on it. These teams are 22nd and 23rd in overall DVOA, 26th and 28th in defensive DVOA. Both these teams, I feel like coming into the year, their pride was their defense, and they both completely have been underwhelming. So Washington showed promise last week. Like I said earlier, they outgained Green Bay 430 to 304, but were 0 for 4 in the red zone. So like I said, they could have won that game had they converted on a couple opportunities in the red zone. This Denver offense, I mean, they have just been awful. Bridgewater can't even be his game manager self. He's just making mistakes, can't really move the ball. Defense is absolutely falling apart. And Washington has at least started to get pressure over the last few weeks. They're now ranked 8th in pass rush win rate, and they sacked Rodgers 3 times last week and had him under pressure. These teams are just too evenly matched. And I just don't think on any planet should Washington be getting over a field goal here. So I absolutely love Washington at +4, and I could see them winning this game.
I'm not saying it. I don't like it.
All right.
Good luck.
Thank you.
I don't have any props on this game. Do you have any props you would look at?
No. If this held at +4, I would have probably made this my favorite bet of the week.
Ugh, gross. All right. I don't have anything else to say here. I think the Broncos offense is going to look better than it has. They're on a long week here coming off the Thursday night football game. I think getting Jerry Jeudy back will be a plus for this offense, and I think they'll be able to move the ball a little bit more than they have been. Can we change the rule for the quarterbacks running with the ball? Can we stop with this? They're down when they start their slide. Like what kind of a stupid rule is that? I mean, Taylor Heinicke's
you shouldn't get yards for if you slide 4 yards. You shouldn't.
No, but even if you dive forward, like Taylor Heinicke dove into the end zone last week, and he started his dive from the 1 yard line, and he ended up 4 yards into the end zone. But they marked him down at the 1 because that's where he started his dive.
Like, the diving
he wasn't
for the end
giving
zone,
himself up.
Yeah, well, that's a completely different story. If you're talking about
that's what I meant, not the slide.
Yeah, the diving for the end zone that's a joke.
I mean, he's an idiot for like there was no one around him. There was no reason to dive, but like it was obvious that he wasn't giving himself up. He's reaching for the end zone, and they mark him down. The
issue is if he wasn't a quarterback, if that was a running back diving for the end zone, that wouldn't have happened. But just it's almost just because he's a quarterback
which is a stupid rule. That's what I'm saying.
I agree completely. Yeah.
If you're sliding with your feet first, that's fine. You're giving yourself up. But if you're diving forward, reaching the ball out, you're clearly not. It just makes no sense. NFL with these rules sometimes is brutal.
I'm with you.
All right, that's enough on that. Let's go to the Bucks and the Saints. This spread has been climbing all week. I believe it opened around 4.5. I'm now seeing some Saints +6 out there. Over under is at 50. We are probably going to get Rob Gronkowski back here for the Bucks. Antonio Brown looking a little bit less optimistic, but at least they'll get one of their 2 pass catchers that have been missing back for this game. I love this Bucks team. I'm getting a little bit nervous about laying 6 points with them. So I've been kind of trying to find some creative ways to play them. So like one way I found was I made a same game parlay. I took Bucks money line and the Bucks team total over 23.5. And I got that around -135. So I thought that was a pretty creative way to capitalize on the Bucks offense and them being able to win the game. You could also look at their money line in like a parlay. It's up to like 255 right now. I'd like it a little bit more in the -200 range, but I just think that this offense is way too much firepower. The Saints did not show me anything in that game against the Seahawks. That was one of the worst games I've ever seen. So it's all Bucks here for me.
Yeah, this Bucks team is just a train that I do not want to step in front of. So
yeah,
I'm kind of like you. I'm a little hesitant to lay points. I mean, we saw the Eagles have a backdoor cover against them a couple weeks ago. But I'm fine teasing the Bucks, taking their money line, finding creative ways to get some action on.
Oh, they're getting into teaser range. There we go.
Yeah, so you could do that once they get to 6.5. But yeah, there's like you said, I was on the Saints last week. Like I said, I had a -3, ended up with a push, but the fact that they couldn't put away that Seahawks team and put up more than 13 points is just that shows you the state of this Saints team. And it's not something I want to invest my money in. So it's Bucks or nothing for me.
All right. For props, we do not have lines yet. I've actually had a strategy that I have been employing for the last few weeks that has been very profitable, especially, well, I guess it's a little bit different with Gronk coming back now. But like last week, I basically played Mike Evans, Antonio Brown, and Leonard Fournette all to score a touchdown, all at plus money. Or sorry, that was Chris Godwin, not Antonio Brown. But you just play all of them to score a touchdown at plus money. If at least two out of the three hit, you win money. Last week, all three of them hit. So that was a nice strategy for me. If Gronk's back this week, it's a little bit harder because he's obviously a big red zone target. But I think you could make a case for a lot of these Bucks players to get in the end zone, or maybe you do like a Leonard Fournette touchdown and Bucks money line, something like that, to try and get it like plus 150, plus 180.
Yep, I like that.
All right. Nothing for me on the Saints side. I would not touch that. All right, let's go to Cowboys and Vikings. Sunday Night Football. Cowboys are 2.5-point road favorites. Over under is up to 55. Jeez, that's gone up at least a few points. So both these teams are coming off a bye. Cowboys actually the only remaining undefeated team in the NFL against the spread. They are potentially going to get wide receiver 3 Michael Gallup back. I like the Cowboys a lot here. I got their money line at -110 on Sunday night. This was by far my largest bet on the openers. I don't love laying 3. I think under a field goal, I'd be okay on the Cowboys. We pretty much know that every Vikings game at this point is going to be decided by a last-second field goal. That's just how Mike Zimmer likes to play these games. But I think the Cowboys have a huge mismatch here in the trenches. This was a game where I liked it on the surface, and the more I looked into it, the more I kind of leaned to the Cowboys. Their O-line is ranked number 1 in adjusted line yards, and the Vikings defensive line is ranked dead freaking last. So I think Zeke Elliott's going to have a monster game, going to be looking at his rush yards. Vikings D has been much better against the pass. And Cowboys also rank 5th in the NFL in third down conversion rate. Shout out to Rue for a third down conversion bro on the podcast. And the Vikings are at 17th. So I'm all over the Cowboys here. What do you have? You're obviously on the Cowboys. We're talking about Rue here betting the NFL.
For the first time in the history of this podcast, I am fading the Cowboys.
What? You can't do that.
Oh, baby. Vikings +3. I was waiting for the 3. Popped up earlier in the day. And look, I talk about regression all the time on here. Cowboys, 11 interceptions, 3 pick sixes, have recovered every single fumble they have forced. There is regression coming in the turnover luck category for the Cowboys. Trayvon Diggs ain't getting a pick 6 every single game. I hate to break it to you.
He could.
They're not recovering every single fumble they forced, and it's just the law of numbers. They are not going to have this turnover luck all season. I understand the fire I'm playing with by betting the Vikings, but when this offense clicks with the weapons they have, I think they can go stride for stride with this team. Like I said, if the Cowboys are allowing 6.3 yards per play, that's 29th in the league. Without these turnovers that they keep forcing, it's not as bad as last year's defense, but it's still not a good defense.
But some of these games they're playing with such a lead. Like the Eagles game was over at halftime, and they're just moving the ball up and down the field.
That's fair.
The Cowboys are in prevent defense.
That's fair. But it's all right. So you make that argument. They're still allowing, they're 18th in yards per carry allowed. So their run defense still isn't great, which is an area I think they can exploit. Trayvon Diggs is a great corner, but they have 2 great receivers I think they can attack with. Justin Jefferson's going to be moving all over the field, could cause some issues. I think Dalvin Cook could have a great game here. I like you said, I don't love the matchup in the trenches, but coming out of a bye week, I trust Mike Zimmer. I do think he's a good coach and can get this defense on track. So getting a field goal here at home Sunday night, forget the Kirk Cousins primetime stats. Yeah, I think Kirk Cousins stats. Kirk Cousins primetime stats are pretty good. His record's just not good.
It's the record that's the problem.
Lose the game, Kirk. Lose the game. Just lose by 2. That's fine. Give me the Vikings +3.
Let me just recap this really quick. We have the Cowboys playing in a primetime game. We have the biggest mismatch you can possibly have in the trenches. and a team that is far better in third down conversion rate than the Cowboys, and you're not picking them. Like, this is you in an NFL game, and you're taking the Vikings.
I'm
like, my head's in a pretzel right now.
I am taking the Vikings.
I don't even know where to go from this.
Oh, man.
You got me all confused now. I will say this is probably going to be a good live betting game if you don't get involved pre-flop. Like I said, these Viking games, they always seem to come down to the wire. They beat the Panthers in overtime. They beat the Lions by 2 points on a last-second field goal, lose to the Browns by 7. So if either team goes up 7-0, I think you can certainly make a case for taking either side at +4.5, anything like that. I think this is going to be a pretty close and fun game.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Any props for you? Like I said, I like the Zeke rushing yard over, anything under like 82.5. Any spots you're looking for?
I saw Dalvin's pop up earlier at 79.5. I don't hate it, man. Like, when he's in, he's getting 20 plus carries. And like I said, you can run against this defense. And I think barring any early Cowboys jumping out to a big lead, I think Dalvin's going to get his. So I for some reason, I feel like that line is still discounted. I don't see any reason that line shouldn't be the mid to upper 80s. So if that's under,
how do you feel about his rushing plus receiving yards at 107.5, just to protect yourself a little bit if the Cowboys go up early and he'll be used in the passing game?
Let me take a look at his receiving sets. I know they try and get him a couple screens every game, but let's see. We got 2 targets, 3 yards, 6'10". I'd probably go rushing. It looks like he hasn't
been used that much in the passing game.
Only 4 games, but he's had 3 yards, 10 yards, 17 yards. Week 1, he had 43 yards. So,
okay,
probably just rush yards for me.
Fair enough. Anything left to say on this one?
Nope.
All right, last game of the week, Monday Night Football. We have the New York Football Giants taking on the Kansas City Chiefs. Very interesting matchup here. Chiefs are 9.5-point home favorites. Over under is at 52. Chiefs coming off an embarrassing loss to the Titans. Giants got a nice win over the Panthers. Seems like the market is still giving the Chiefs all kinds of credit, as they have been every single week. I'm not sure they deserved it. I came on and said last week, I think this Chiefs offense is kind of broken, and it certainly looked broken last week. We saw more turnovers, more penalties, more just dumb plays. I mean, not in my wildest dreams did I think that this would lead to them scoring 3 points against the Tennessee Titans, but there is just absolutely nothing that makes me want to bet on the Kansas City Chiefs right now. I got the Giants at +10. I think anything double digits here is an easy bet to make on the Giants. I'm hoping that they're going to get some players back. We have Saquon, Kenny Golladay, Kadarius Toney, Sterling Shepard, all kind of up in the air right now. I think Saquon probably might be another week away, but even if you can get some of these pass catchers back, just give Daniel Jones some help. I think Devontae Booker can hold up enough on the ground. So it's Giants or nothing here for me.
Yeah, what are we doing here? We got a 2-5 and a 3-4 team, and you're telling me the Chiefs are 10-point favorites? I mean, come on, it's getting ridiculous. The value the Chiefs are still getting in the market
every week.
It's unbelievable to me. This, like you said, this was such an easy bet for me. Give me the Giants at +10. Daniel Jones 11-6 against the spread on the road. Chiefs are in an absolute tailspin in every way possible. It's just absolutely way too many points. Like you said, I'm really hoping the Giants get some weapons back on offense. And if they do, I think I don't see this team having any issues moving the ball. So 10 points is just, it's almost laughable at this point with the way the Chiefs have been playing. I mean, the 3 freaking points. And I advocated for the Chiefs last week. I'll own it. I advocated for them. I bet their team total over 30 last week. So look, that was my last ditch effort to back them. I had 3 points against a bottom 5 defense in this league. No, absolutely not. I 10 points it's a joke, and I can't wait to end my week with a win on Monday night.
Yeah, should be a good end of the week. For player props here, it's a little bit tough. The Chiefs, I mean, really no one has been good on their offense. Maybe I'll look at another Patrick Mahomes over rushing yards. We'll see where that total opens up. The Giants, it's kind of impossible until you know who's playing and what the situation looks like. I might look at a Giants team total over. It looks like their team total right now is 20.5. I mean, we know this Chiefs defense is not very good. I think Daniel Jones has been pretty good. If he gets some of his weapons back, I think looking at a Giants team total over might also be another decent way to play this one.
I like that a lot. 20.5.
Yeah, I think I'm going to wait a little bit just to see who's playing. Like, I don't like it as much if it's Dante Pettis, Darius Slayton, and Devontae Booker. But if they can just get some of these guys back, that's pretty low against one of the league's worst defenses.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I feel like it's either, the Chiefs are going right down the field and scoring, and the Giants are getting the ball back quick, or they're turning it over and getting good field position for the Giants.
Yeah.
So it really works in their favor. So yeah, I like that bet a lot once we get some news on the weapons, but you might end up getting it over 21 if they do get some weapons back. So
yeah. Oh, and also full disclosure, I don't know if you checked any of this. I did not look into any of the weather in these games. Monday night in Kansas City could be potential for some weather at this point in the year. Sunday Night Football, Vikings are in a dome, but yeah, we'll have to go back and check some of these weather games and just make sure there's nothing too crazy popping up.
Yes.
All right. That will wrap up our week 8 NFL breakdown. Let's go to our long shots of the week. In this segment, we give out our favorite bets or parlays of the week at odds of plus 200 or longer. These have been pretty successful this year. So, Rue, I will kick it off to you to start us off.
All right. I am going to the Colts. Going to have a heavy dose of Jonathan Taylor this week. So I'm going Jonathan Taylor to score a touchdown and Colts win the game. Don't have the odds yet, but I would imagine it's somewhere plus 200 or to plus 220 in that range, probably
even better than that.
Okay,
I like that play.
So Jonathan Taylor touchdown, Colts win, my long shot.
Well, I like the Jonathan Taylor part. I don't know if the Colts are going to win, but I see what you're doing here. All right, for my long shot of the week, I'm going to go to Thursday Night Football. Like I said, I'm not buying this spread being 6.5 points here. I understand the COVID stuff. I understand Devontae Adams is out, but I'm going to take a same game parlay of Packers plus 6.5, Aaron Jones, 35 receiving yards and an Aaron Jones anytime touchdown. These are not available quite yet, but this has got to be at least plus 350, if not higher. The Packers money, I was taking the spread. Yeah, that's my long shot of the week.
Yeah, you sound like a guy who got in on the Packers early at +3 and +4 and is trying to convince himself how good of a bet it still is.
I would not be reinvesting. I'm going to put up even more money.
I'm just messing with you.
Hey, it worked in week 1 when we spent all offseason convincing ourselves the Saints was a good bet against the Packers.
I still don't know how we won that bet.
That game is a miracle. Like crazy.
Oh my God.
All right, let's go to our favorite bets of the week. I will give you the honors of giving us your favorite bet of the week first.
All right, I'm going back to a familiar spot. Jonathan Taylor over 68.5 rushing yards. Are you going to bet this guy? I know. Look, 68.5 rushing yards. We talked about it. This line just jumped off the page. Way too low for his production of late against a very bad defense and an offense that is just revolving around him right now. Jonathan Taylor over 68.5 yards. My favorite bet of the week.
Yeah, this kind of feels like towards the end of last season where Taylor had been quiet for most of the year. Then all of a sudden he had this like 4 or 5 game stretch to close the year where he was just running for 150, 175 yards every week, was absolutely unstoppable. Looked like the back that was breaking records at Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Kind of feels like he's getting into one of those grooves here. So
yeah,
I'm all over it with you. All right, my lock of the week, I am going to go to a double-digit favorite in the NFL, something I do not do very often, but this Buffalo Bills team, I am very comfortable laying points with them. I'm taking the Bills minus 13.5. Sean McDermott is 8-1 in his tenure as the Buffalo Bills head coach versus the Dolphins, winning by at least 17 points in 4 of those 8 wins, including a 35-0 beatdown in week 2. McDermott is also a perfect 4-0 after a bye as the Bills head coach. And like I said, the Bills are a team that I have no issues laying points with. They're not a team that's going to try and go up by 10 points and run the ball and run the clock out and take control of the game. They'll throw the ball all game long. Josh Allen will be hitting Stephon Diggs for a 40-yard touchdown, up 35 in the third quarter. They don't care. They're a team that I'm comfortable laying points with. And this whole Tua, Deshaun Watson situation, he's now answering questions at interviews about, is he the starter? Is Deshaun Watson? It's a distraction. The team's a mess. Flores seems like he's lost the locker room. They don't even seem interested in playing at this point. I'm all over the Bills here. I think this is a beatdown.
Bold move. Double-digit favorite as your favorite bet. I like it.
Yes, sir. All right, let's cap it off with the best segment of the entire show, the Chalk Donkey Parlay. Rue, yes. What do we have this week?
All right, let's line it up. You go on DraftKings, I'll go on FanDuel. We'll see where we get better odds. All right. So we'll go Bills.
Bills, definitely.
Rams. Although I'm gonna hold off on placing this because I want to see the Tyrod news because you could get better odds on the Rams, so I might hold off on this.
Do we like Bengals?
Yeah, Bengals, and then I'm fine throwing the Bucks in. Holy crap, the Patriots are down to 4.5. Sorry, sidetrack.
I like the Bucks. So even if we just leave the Rams out.
All right, so you can leave the Rams out. What do we got? So I have. All right, so that's only minus 117 on my end, but if you do add the Rams in, it goes to plus money, so might be.
I have
worth
minus 112 right now.
Okay, all right, so you can do that, or you can wait for the Rams. I might just hold off a little bit and wait. No rush really with these because, it's a chalk donkey parlay. It's not like you're waiting for a key number or something.
You can't rush the chalk donkey parlay. It's
No,
slow and steady. So
exactly.
We have Bengals, Bills, Bucks, and Rams are going to be the eligible options. I think I'm going to stick to Bengals, Bills, Bucks. You guys out there do as you please. Add the Rams in, get it to plus money. Whatever you want to do. That's going to be our chalk donkey parlay of the week, and we'll see if we can get that up to a perfect 5-0. Anything left to say here?
No, I'm excited for this week. I feel like I like my card. I have a good mix of some favorites, some underdogs. Also, at the same time, feel like we're both due for an absolutely awful week. So we'll see what happens. I'm looking forward to another roller coaster weekend.
I don't know if we are. I feel like we've weathered some of these potentially bad weeks, and we just keep coming out on top. Have not had a losing week yet. Let's see if we can keep it rolling.
Don't speak too soon, man.
Nah, I'm feeling good. We got this.
All right.
All right, that's going to be a wrap from us. Hope everyone out there has an awesome week 8. Let's keep the money train rolling. Any questions, comments, concerns, hit us up on Twitter at BetRightPod. Give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Tell a friend. Smash the like button on YouTube. Link to the YouTube video will be in the description of this podcast. We'll also have it posted to our Twitter page. From Jeff and Rue here at the Bet Right Sports Betting Podcast. Bidding you farewell. I messed up the ending here. Goodbye, guys.
Everyone have a great week 8.